ISMHO Talk Show. Out to the ISM H to the Izzo Talk Show. You got Charles
You got Razor.
in the booth in the building. And Miss Max, I'll turn your preamps on. Make sure you right up on that mic.
All right.
There you go. Act like you in, like you lead singing for the choir. For the choir, Razor.
Be Gladys, let us be the Pips.
Yeah, buddy. So thank you, fam. You can be anywhere in the world, but you are here with us, and we most definitely appreciate that. And we are joined as promised by none other than Miss Joy Johnson. Miss Joy, how are you today, ma'am?
Hi, good morning. I'm doing fine, thank you.
Hey, Auntie.
Good.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing good.
Always a pleasure. Thank you for the work that you do, as always. Thank you for taking time this fine Sunday morning to come out and chat with us. And thank you.
I did my bedside church, okay?
Oh, there you go. That's right. As long as you get it. Yeah. So, but we can't. You're here today to address pretty serious matter, right? That you and the good folks over at FAR Public Housing Association of Residents want the folks to know more about. To make sure that they are engaged with our city council as it comes to the development and all that that may be happening as it pertains to what's being proposed. So, for those that don't know, in particular, the West Haven communities, FAR, 10th and Page, are solidified in opposing a luxury student housing. Right. And now, Ms. Joy, I've heard it's 12 story, it's 11 story. Not that one story makes a huge difference, but when it comes to the issues of what's happening and the reason why you oppose it, that may make a huge difference. So go ahead and let the folks know, what's what. Give us a more of a backdrop about what's being proposed with this luxury student housing and why folks in the community are opposed to it.
So, thanks again for having me. They're proposing LV Collective, which is a firm from out of Texas, and they primarily build luxury student housing across the nation. And so we have, for the past 3 years, we have had residents meeting on a weekly basis, just trying to understand what redevelopment means, what it includes, about the finances, about landscape, critical scale, all of the above, and how they can use that to rebuild the community. Even though we are not all, even though we are not always 100% agreeable, we do come to a consensus about how we move. And for the past 3 years, the residents have been thinking about a different way of how they rebuild their community. They're looking at a senior building that doesn't have more than four floors because of what we learned of Crescent Halls having an 8-story building with elderly and disabled people in there does not make sense. With when the elevators go down, they can't go up and down. And so we're also looking at a SRO building because we know that there's a lot of homeless people that's out there, and some people doesn't want a 1 bedroom. All they want is just a room, somewhere to eat, somewhere to to sleep, and still keeping the family housing. And so they've been working on it for the last 3 years. We came to consensus about the site plan. And I think that our residents was really proud of it because, you know, that's hard. I don't know if you ever sit and plan about rebuilding the community, but it's really, really hard because some people doesn't have a three-dimensional vision, and some people, even though you draw it, they still can't understand it. To fast forward, at one of our meetings, Executive Director John Sales said that this company wanted to come in and talk to us, and they came in and they had this great big building, which is a 12-story building,
Mhm.
luxury student housing. And they came in with the attitude of, this is how we're going to tell you how this is going to build. And our residents, um, let me just back up a little bit. Trust is a big issue.
Absolutely.
Our residents hasn't trust the process, even though they're participating in it. I hope you understand that. They're participating, but it's with caution
Hmm.
because they don't believe it's going to happen because we've been talking about redeveloping all of our public housing for years and nothing has happened. And now that they can see some movement at South First Street, some movement at Sixth Street, people now are moving cautiously, like, being very hopeful. So
So,
when
just a
um
point of clarity, Ms. Johnson, you're not saying that the developers that are doing the renovations to um, the public housing are also the same developers who are wanting
no,
to build the new student housing? Okay, I just wanted to draw that
no, I,
separation.
well, thank you for making sure I clarify that. No, LV Collective is the developers who are proposing to build the 12-story building.
Mm-hmm.
We are working with an architect um, 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 separately about how we redesigned our community. So yes, they're two separate things.
Okay.
Um, However, we have gotten to a point where we have a consensus on the site plan. Hasn't been approved by the city yet, but the group, the 23 people, 24, sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more, residents, and Brandon Collins, I have to give him a shout out, has done a really, really good job of making sure that people who doesn't show up and people who's with a different language, that we're finding ways to make sure we include them. And with that, we came to a consensus about what it would look like. When this
Mhm.
developers came in to visit West Haven residents to propose to show us the proposal that they were going to do, they didn't come in saying, we would like to work with you. What they did was they look at our site plan and decided how they were going to develop their building. Let me even interject. I don't know if some of you know about how West Haven was dug out. Um, I don't remember
Mhm.
how deep, but it was dug out so that people on West Main Street wouldn't see poor people where they had supposed to build the first public housing.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that gets built on Main Street that is more than 4 stories, it overshadowed the neighborhood. The standard was the first one, and most of the stuff that we hear from our residents is it blocks sunlight. When they wake up, all they're looking at is this big building, and so we spoke against the standard, but they still built it. And there was someone on the planning commission at the time who said that it was a mistake. So let me fast forward back to the meeting. So when they came in, they were showing us, the beautiful design and how they were going to give us a pathway, just a little pathway to get to West Main Street. We definitely pushed back on the building, the height of the building. However, what we really pushed back on, just 1 minute. I'm sorry, Kingston. I'll be right with you. She'll be right back. Okay. I'm sorry, my grand.
Oh yeah, so we know how it go.
That's right.
Yeah, we are, and family, we are talking with Miss Joy Johnson. I'm about to propose luxury student housing. Um, the potential from the LV company out of
Right.
Texas potentially be here in Charlottesville. Yeah, so go. We got some questions for you, Miss Joy, but go ahead and finish your thoughts
Okay.
about the meeting. Yeah.
We basically said to them, like, first of all, it's very disrespectful that you all start planning this from April of this year, and you all waited until we come to a consensus with our site plan, and then you decide how to build around it and how to block us, and to just give us just a small alley access to West Main Street. And the second thing was you came and meet with the West Haven residents. We are a part of the 10th and Page neighborhood. Why
Mhm.
didn't you have a meeting with the whole 10th and Page neighborhood?
Mm.
So they did decide to have a meeting with the 10th and Page neighborhood
Okay.
that includes West Haven at the Jefferson School. And they got a big pushback from the 10th and Page folks and then also the residents. But what I learned, because I don't know everything, and I'm always learning, but what I learned is that the zoning that the Planning Commission and city and some of our community people, some of what we they voted on gave the power to the BAR to be able to approve design and don't have to go to council to get approval. And that is a serious mistake
Mm.
for the low income communities because then what will happen is big building like what they're proposing will just show up where poor people live. And so
And is
once
that policy in the old zoning ordinance or the one that's been most recently approved?
I think it's in the zoning ordinance.
Okay.
I might be wrong, but I think it's in the zoning ordinance. And
Okay.
so the only opportunity that we had to voice our opinion about how 10th and Page residents felt was at the BAR meeting. Um, and so right away, we just got ourselves together and started organizing to say, okay, let's learn more about what is happening and how it can impact us. The biggest thing for
Mhm.
me, George Johnson, is how disrespectful you
Mm.
are by coming in to tell us this is what you're going to do and want us to bless it instead of coming in and saying, once you saw our site plan, why didn't you reach out then and said, can we work with you? Let's
Miss
work with you so that we can see what is it you want to obtain and what we can see what is it they want to obtain. The biggest thing for most of our residents in West Haven is that access to West Main Street is a problem.
Right.
Access to West Main Street for disabled people is a problem. Elderly people, if they have to walk, you have to go all the way up 10th Street, or you have to go around to 8th Street, or you have to find a get a ride, or you have to go up to Workland. So those were just some of the things. There
Mhm.
were more things that we were concerned about, but it was the fact that we weren't consulted. You didn't talk to us. You just coming in to tell us that this is what you're going to do, and you're not understanding the history of what well, Vinegar from Vinegar Hill to West Haven, and then the growth around West Haven, because as you know, there is a monster building that is going to be built on 10th and Workland, which is
Mhm.
going to impact the neighborhood with traffic.
Miss
It's going
Johnson.
to impact the neighborhood with people who have been living there for a long time on their taxes,
Right.
right?
Right.
And
Right.
so there's a lot of things that we were pushed back in on. But the
Yeah.
number one thing is how you disrespect the 10th and Page neighborhood. And
Miss
now I'm
Johnson.
Understood.
hearing that something like that is also getting ready to happen in the Fightfield neighborhood.
Yeah.
So
Miss Johnson. Yeah. So
I
Razor
got
has a
I
question or
got a
comment for you.
I'm noticing I'm not from here in Charlottesville, so I'm noticing a pattern. The Even though I know this is going to come back on me later for something that I want done, the real disrespect is from the city of Charlottesville allowing somebody to come in and operate this way to our city residents.
that part.
I know that you're saying about the people, but the real problem is that the city of Charlottesville is not advocating for their own personal residents, in my humble opinion.
And
This
I totally agree. And this is why we are now organizing to make absolute. We're reaching out to all of the different neighborhoods where this could impact them to say we need to get back to council and we need to tell council they need to fix this because this is not right. This is not right.
Yeah.
And Miss Joy, talk more about what you were saying about the redevelopment that you would like to see, like within public housing, right? Within the citizens housing that we already have here, right? Compared to luxury student apartments taking precedence over that. Right. Like so talk more about how that discussion has gone about like how it's being prioritized between, the citizens who already need improvements versus building new luxury housing.
Well, as you know, rent burden is a big issue here in the city of Charlottesville,
Mm.
right? There, if, and I always tell my residents, especially when they're facing eviction or not paying the rent, is that it is hard out in the private market, and
Mhm.
if you can't survive and pay your rent in public housing or with a Section 8 vouchers, then you will not survive. I hate to say it that way. You
Mhm.
will not survive. You will find yourself being a homeless person in the private market. Because the private market, Virginia Tenant Landlord Act, does not protect residents, right? It protects landlord. And these landlords, it's about the money. And if you're not paying your rent on time, they're not going to let you fall behind 1 month or 2 months. You will be in the street. Plus, you also have those utility costs that you have to incur. So it's very, very hard. And that's why I particularly
Mhm.
try to fight to make absolutely sure that we fight and we make noise about deeply affordable housing.
Right.
So, but I do agree with the brother there that it is something that we have to go to council. We need y'all support to
Mhm.
be able to go to council and tell council fix this. This is
Mhm.
not right.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Something else that has to be mentioned in this conversation is the housing burden that the University of Virginia places on the city.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
I believe that they only actually offer on-campus housing for their freshmen. Is that right? And outside of that, then all of their students are finding residency off of campus, which of course is going to exacerbate the housing availability and make things much more difficult to the residents who actually belong and live in the community, as opposed to those who are temporarily visitors.
Mhm. Yeah, so it's
Mm.
not only the freshmen, like, but it's guaranteed for freshmen.
Okay.
Yeah, but then the other ones have an option. But that's part of the problem, though, right?
Mhm.
Is that they still are sort of impeding on the city, right? Like to try to cure its own ills. Like, but that's the ultimate issue, though, right? So the university is here, right? And this is for everybody, Ms. Johnson, Razor, Max. Is when we think about development, cities don't want to be stagnant either. So every time development, comes through, the question I believe is, and maybe for the mayor, but how do you balance it? Right. Like, how do you take care of what you already have versus also trying to be a vibrant city?
Yeah.
UVA need to pay taxes to the
That is
city.
I
a
agree.
very good question, because
I
we all
agree.
see, not just myself, that I mean, the city clearly takes a stance on providing the prioritizing affordable housing, deeply affordable housing, and housing for our most vulnerable, the homeless. Right?
Mhm.
We hear that all the time, but the question arises when votes or proposals don't necessarily line up to what's been prioritized to the public. As far as our local officials.
Mhm. And the county as well. Ms. Joy, I heard you mention UVA, right? Like, but some onus goes on the county as well because Albemarle benefits so much on being related, right, to
Hmm.
to Charlottesville. But when it comes down to it, again, kind of hides its hands when there's things to fix in Charlottesville.
Maybe I'm missing something because what I see in my uneducated brain is the fact of the reason that the county doesn't have as much problem with this as the city does is because developers only tend to look at the black and brown neighborhoods to do their development. If a
That
road has to
part.
come
That
through, it
part.
has to come through the black and brown place. If they have to build a building, it has to come through the black and brown place. So if you're only talking about a 5 to 11% amount of people that's in the entire city, right? And not all of us live in housing. So then the people that are living in housing that don't live in housing, that have like generational homes and stuff that they're looking to take over and build something, that like the onus is on the city. I love I personally, the people that's running the city, I love them. I care about them. I want their well-being. I trust them, but the people who are the current, right. Well, but the people who are behind the scenes are the ones that say, okay, yeah, come build here. Why don't you look over here? Instead of looking at this whole room, look at this one speaker, right? This black speaker right here. Is there anything that you can do right here? And then we look for developers that can do something in this black speaker.
See,
do you understand what I'm saying? That's
you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I feel you.
And what I want to say is this, that we are redeveloping all 7 of our public housing sites, but West Haven is the most political one. We haven't seen anything yet until our site plan get approved, and we have to go before the planning commission and all. The NIMBYs are gonna come out like nothing. Like, we don't want this in our backyard, because West Haven is the most political land that we have. We sit between the city of downtown and the university, and this city is trying to become an ACC city anyway, so we're in the way.
Yeah, well, that lets you know how valuable the land is. But that is one of the questions that I had for you earlier, because you said by the time the developers met with, for the student housing, met with you all, they were telling you what they were going to do. So what is or should be the process whenever a developer brings a housing proposal to the city?
Well, Max, I am glad you asked that question. I think first and foremost, the communities that the city is telling them, or the behind the scenes people that is working, and I'm just going to call it out, the planning department, they should make absolutely sure that those developers are truly engaging with the neighborhood and planning with the neighborhood, because they're not. They're not. I mean, and we've had 3 meetings, I think, with the LLV collective. We had expert in the room who was talking to them to show them how they could do something different, and why it is not a good fit, the 12-story building. And they weren't listening. You know why they weren't listening? It's their bottom line of money, of how many units is going. They need to make a profit off of this building, right? It's about money. It's not about the people.
Well, I would take a step further and say that there needs to be something in the ordinance or the policy that requires them to the developer to make sure that they maintain the integrity of the neighborhood that they're building in, and that they and not give them exemptions or allowances that would allow them to disproportionately further disenfranchise those that live in that neighborhood. Absolutely. And I say that because they can check all of those boxes that you're talking about, check every one of them, and still do what they want to do.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm gonna need y'all to school me on that, though. I'm gonna need y'all to school me.
The only way that doesn't happen, Charles, if I can throw this one place, is if they say for 3 to 5 years you cannot build in what is considered a low income or a black and brown neighborhood. They will know how to do it then, because they will not disrespect their own neighbor.
So that goes back, right? I feel you. So that goes back to what you said earlier, though. Like, that's why. So even if what you're saying is true, and the onus is ultimately on the city because it's responsible for its land and for its citizens, we are still landlocked as it pertains to working with UVA and with Albemarle. And to Ms. Joy's point even earlier about how UVA is doing something that's paying local taxes would hugely benefit, right? Like, so my whole point, though, is that not making any excuse for the city, but when we look at it from a political and a business standpoint, their hands get tied when UVA and Albemarle overreaches, and when UVA and Albemarle constantly benefits from the Charlottesville name, even if they're not city proper, they're constantly benefiting from it. But then when it's time to things like this, for the city to be like, well, there's land and stuff that's technically in the county, but then the county may be like, we don't want the developers here either. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But fact of the matter is, a lot of Albemarle County, people from the outside just see Charlottesville.
Right.
They don't see county.
Right.
So there still has to be that relationship building for the city to even be able to do what we're asking.
Why would Albemarle work with the city like you're saying when they can simply sit on the outside and be a parasite?
I tell you why. Because they had
They should.
a
Yeah, I'm just
sweetheart.
wondering.
Wrong
They
word.
they had a sweetheart deal. It was before I even got involved.
Yeah, the
But
annex.
where the Albemarle County would not annex into the city of
Mhm.
Charlottesville, they would give them money.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I never understood.
Was it like
And
11
if
million?
you all can find out for me, because I just can't seem to find the answers. When does that agreement go away? Is it a lifetime agreement?
Good question.
Because when I came here as a young lady, a little girl, not a young lady, a little girl, Albemarle County wasn't as sprawled as it is now.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And every time they put up a building, the city get money
Mhm.
because that's their agreement. So when does that agreement goes away?
A tapeworm never goes away, Miss Johnson.
No. Oh, there you go.
I have a question for you though. It's this has come up and it's kind of one of those ideas of you control what you can control, right? So this new zoning ordinance that the city has approved, and I know we're going through different changes as it pertains to being the official approved ordinance.
I'm about to say it's
right
on
now.
hold, ain't it?
Yeah, there's some things to be worked out.
Mhm.
However, this new zoning ordinance gives much more liberty to developers than the
Yes.
previous one. So that being said,
Mm.
why doesn't FAR or public housing residents then demand more for their proposals for redevelopment or renovations? Because now you can go higher, right?
Mm.
Yeah. I think Max, that has been over the 3 years. That has been one of the obstacle and headache, I think, for Mr. John Sales, because
Okay.
our residents are saying we don't want to live in 6-story building with children.
Okay.
Mm.
We don't want a Chicago. We don't want a Niger, New York. We don't want an Atlanta. We don't want to be having children, 5 bedrooms and 4 bedrooms, and we just don't want that in a high building. And so Mr. Sales wanted to go to 250 for density. I mean, 350 for density. Our
From what?
residents pushed back at that, so they
Okay.
didn't want. And then we learned from Crescent Halls, which is an 8-story building, how much problems later on it was with elevators and all of these mechanical stuff that keeps it going for you to be on the 8th floor and 6th floor. So I think those were some of the things why we did, as far as height, we were willing to go to a 4-story. I only wanted to go to 3, but the consensus was 4.
So some question in there for you, Miss Joy, because honestly, there is a divide within the community on that thought process, right? Because you do have folks that are saying that that if it's mixed income housing and you have commercial space and like you even have parking and whatnot, like understanding that the city is so landlocked that building up makes sense if the trade-off is that you're going to get affordable housing and you're going to get potential commercial space for local business owners, right? So it's almost like how can we satisfy both sides? Is that even possible, right? To be able to get enough housing without going straight up in the air.
I will say this. In our community, and I think that's one of the myths that I don't think people understand. We have a mixed income community. We do. We just don't have the commercial stuff going on, but we have a mixed income community. We have people who are paying different variants of rent, right? And we have a multicultural now people in our community, right? We have a mixed community.
Oh, I think we lost you.
Miss Johnson.
I think we lost Miss Joy. Hopefully she'll be right back with us. It was just getting good.
I know, right? I know.
All right, Miss Joy, try to rejoin us.
Until she comes back in, I wanted to ask her this particular question, right? Because I want to play devil's advocate for a second. And then I also wanted to ask her, okay, we're all born with the same 24 hours. If you decide, now granted, some people have different ailments that don't allow them to do certain things, but if you have decided to put yourself into a point where you have to allow a city, a person, or organization to take care of you, then do you still have the same rights to ask and demand the same thing as people out getting out here and pulling themselves up by their own bootstraps with no help?
Lord, you using a lot of like
a
lot of trigger words.
It's a conversation that happens, right?
Yeah,
so I think
but for real,
it is a conversation that happens. So I think it's worthy of just bringing up, whether you agree or disagree with it. It's worth bringing up. I think that the response would be, though, is that these resources that the city provides to our low-income neighbors are necessary based on the historic disenfranchisement of those neighbors. It is not like they are given an equitable and equal playing field. They had access to the same things: education, higher income, healthcare, all those social determinants of wealth that we reference.
I'm back. Can you still hear me?
We can.
There she goes.
We have access.
I can hear y'all.
Those neighbors have access to those things. And wouldn't be dealing with the recovery of generations of disenfranchisement.
Absolutely.
Then they would not have to rely on those things that they do.
Well, let me ask you this then. Ms. Johnson, can you hear us?
Ask Ms. Joy.
Ms. Joy, can you hear us?
I think she's still working on her connection.
Okay. Now let me ask y'all this, right? When it comes to ailments that people go through, right? If you are hooked on a substance,
you gotta back that up. But she's just now coming back.
I don't think she can hear me.
She's laughing. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Not sure what happened, but I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
No, she said she's
okay. All right. So my question is, if a person is hooked on some type of substance, right, and you can get money for that substance, should we be giving you money for your rent? Because it seems like you want to spend your money on what you want and then beg for what you need.
I don't like how that feels, Razor.
It's not about feelings.
So here's why I would push.
I'm just asking a question.
Yes, we understand where you're coming from.
And for those of y'all who want to call Charles and
Max
and Razor shouldn't be talking like that, I get it. But in order for us to get the side that is in control of what we get, they have to know how we feel about things that they talk about in private rooms.
Yeah. No. You facts. Yeah. Like we totally understand what you're saying, but where I would push back though is that there's a misconception that I think gets mixed up in what you're saying. Not that you're making that point, but people definitely take it from what you're saying, which is that people aren't putting themselves up by their own bootstraps, or they're not contributing to our society because they may be immigrants. They could be public housing, whatever the case is. And fact of the matter is, there was an article I just read, and it said like that immigrants have paid, like last year, paid more money, paid more taxes than like the top wealthiest people. I forget what percentage it is, right? But like they're contributing in so many different ways.
I'm talking about drug use though. I'm strictly talking about drug use.
Of that, like you're not contributing, so you can't tell your city council what to do because you may be like whatever, like you may be any marginalized group, regardless of what that marginalized group is.
No. I'm with you up until the point that you're talking about choices and decisions. If you choose food over clothing, if you choose drugs over housing, if you choose, that's what I'm talking about. Strictly looking at it from that point, like just trying.
But how would you know though?
You piss test them.
I mean, you could, but at the same time, it's like then we need the services to be able to help those people. Then.
It's a lot cheaper to buy P-test. It is. It's not that much. But
she can hear you.
There you go. All right,
I'm back.
There you go.
I'm sorry. I had to log out and log back in. Yeah. I don't know what happened.
Is she staying on with us for the next hour? Is she?
No, we're about to wrap up. But I mean, like point taken. But it's just like what we always talk about. It's like. Folks can be anti anything, but if we're gonna be anti, then we got to have like the middle part.
We talking about choices, though.
Like, what's the middle to fix it?
I'm just talking about not from my personal opinion, but I know that people use these things to put up guardrails to keep from helping or to keep choosing what you need and what you don't do, right?
Gotcha. No,
so
we got you.
When it comes to like coloring stuff and immigrants, that's wrong. When it comes to people who, regardless of what your circumstances were, and you choose to use some type of medication, whether it be alcohol or drugs, you are then making a choice. So if you can stand on a corner for 17 days to get money to buy a substance, you can do the same thing and put what you have towards housing. I'm asking.
But then that's the mental health issue. So then we need more resources because that's a mental issue. If somebody is choosing a drug over their livelihood, like that means you have a disease.
It's still a choice, is what I'm asking.
But it's a disease.
Is it?
Before we let you go, so, I want to catch up on. So where are we now? What is happening now? What's the next action that the FAR and the residents of public housing plan to take?
Okay, so where we are now, we are still moving along. We're going to probably have to change some of what we have agreed upon.
Redevelopment at
with
West.
redevelopment. And then the second thing is to continue to go to council to put this on their radar. So we plan to show up at every meeting. We plan to show up at the BAR meetings, and we plan to show up at the planning commission meeting. Because even if this get built, even if they went to 6 stories, because they did send us something saying they're going to 6 stories, even if that get built, we have to make sure there's some safeguards that this doesn't happen in any more of our low income neighborhoods.
That's right. Miss Joy, thank you for joining us. Like, so what else?
I don't know what you all were talking about when I left about services, but one of the things that I was taught in my early years of starting to organize is to recognize that the way you kill a community is to take away the services. And maybe you can bring me back so we can talk about the services, because we have a lot of nonprofits who are supposed to be providing services in our community, and it's not reaching the most vulnerable people.
That's exactly what we were talking about. We were trying to get Razor to see that we need the services.
Razor deal with
Razor. Hey, Razor.
Yes,
Razor,
right, Auntie.
We do need services, but we can talk about that. We can meet and talk about that.
Yes, ma'am.
And you might be able to convince me, and I may be able to convince you.
Okay.
But thanks for having me.
I can talk now, Auntie. I can talk now.
All right, so Ms. Joy, thank you as always. Keep up the great work. But as we let you go, to kind of finish off on what Max was asking, like, what's our marching orders? When's the next meeting? When's the next time?
We're going to be meeting with Click, Charlottesville Housing Committee. We're going to be meeting with them, and we're going to be going back to City Council. I see Juan sitting back there. So we're going to be going to City Council to put it on their radar, and we're basically just going to show up and show that something needs to change. And if there was a miss in when people voted on this, they need to go back and correct it, because they can go back. City Council can go back and correct it.
Gotcha. Miss Joy, thank you as always.
All right, thank you. Nice seeing you, Max.
Nice seeing you. Take care.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.